Well, my first memory of Sayoko, I guess, is fairly blurry.
I thought he was very kind and nice teacher, patient with me, especially I had to study extra hard.
She was a student of mine in English class at Berkshire Christian College. She stood out, of course, because she was unique, the only Japanese in the class. But it wasn't until she was involved in a Christian college tournament that we'll have her tell you.
There are altogether 10 Christian colleges in New England had the sports tournament at King's College in New York. So I was pretty good in ping pong, so I decided I want to try the tournament. So Duane took us to King's Chapel, King's College, and then during the long driving, we start talking different things, and I learned more about him and his character, and I thought he had a pretty good Christian character, and he was a decent guy. Not too loud, but very reserved, but kind of type of the guy I like. I don't like noisy people, so that's how I think I was drawn to him.
The next time that I recall specifically being alone with her was taking her with me to Hudson Falls, New York, where my cousin and her husband were pastoring the Advent Christian Church there.
Going to his cousins, and then all of a sudden
told her that we were getting married.
Well, actually, I don't think he ever proposed. At this 50th, I kind of want him to propose me again.
Apparently that's the first she knew about it, but she went along with it.
I was surprised. By that time, I was kind of liked him, and I thought it was okay.
Well, as we became more serious, we began making our plans. At the end of that school year, she would be graduating, and I was there only for the 1 year, so our paths would separate, and if we had plans to marry, then that seemed to be the time to do it. And so we went ahead with plans to be married shortly after her graduation.
When we decide we get married, I went to Dr. Eli's office. Dr. Eli was my student advisor. So I told him that I'd like to marry Mr. Crabtree. And when I said that, he kind of paused a little while and thought of a few seconds and told me that, Sayoko, I really wish and think I think you should go back to Japan and minister to your people where you speak same language and where your people are, you'll be used more. Well, that was his advice to me. But I was so much involved in getting married and excited, and I didn't have ear to hear him. So I just go ahead, did what I wanted. And then at the same time, I wrote to my father, kind of not asking him, but stating the fact that I was going to marry this American English professor. And he didn't answer me for a long time. I almost gave up. And then a letter came eventually, and I opened it, read it, and then he said, well, you are 30 years now, or 30 years old, and grown up, so I have actually no right to tell you what to do or not to do, but since you made up your mind so firmly, I would give you my advice that no matter who you marry, especially American guy, don't forget you are a Japanese woman, going to be a Japanese wife, and act like a Japanese wife, and to obey your husband, to be a good wife, good Japanese wife. That was his advice. And then, kind of foolishly, I translated that letter, read it to Duane, and I don't know how many times Duane, after we got married, had to remind me of my father's advice. At the end of semester, my grade he gave me was B minus. When I saw that, I said, this minus business. Professor, last year I got a straight B, and if I had this grade straight B instead of B minus, I would make a dean's list. So I thought I should talk with him. I went to his office. I said, if you give me straight B, I'll be in dean's list. Could you do that? He said, no. Well, he said, you don't deserve straight B. B minus is what you get. I got upset with him, but in a way I respected him because he did not compromise. And if he took that minus, when I asked, I did maybe less respect of him.
But the wedding took place in the college chapel. The college president married us.
President Ainsworth officiated the ceremony, and I felt a little lonesome not having my family members come to our wedding.
The chefs at the college made the wedding cake and supervised the reception.
But I had lots of brothers and sisters and friends, classmates, beautiful friends all over came to our wedding and gave their blessing to our wedding, so that was beautiful. And everything was given to us. We didn't pay anything for the reception or wedding cake even. My wedding dress even was made by my dear friend, Musa Power's missionary niece. So I didn't pay anything for my wedding. So everything was just beautiful.
We spent the first night in a motel in Lenox, and I sat on the bed eating wedding cake and drinking buttermilk, and told Sayoko that this is what happens at all American weddings. Then we drove up through Vermont and across New Hampshire into Maine and finally to Lakeside. Along the way, it seemed to me a good time to do a little family research, since we were going through areas where some of the family had lived. And I had Sayoko in cemeteries looking for gravestones.
Well, honeymoon, we, like Duane said, we went up north after we got married. And mostly Duane's were deep in genealogy, so he wanted to go to different cemeteries and search his family. But I had not a one bit interest in those things. Like he said that this is what most American honeymooners do, but I knew better. I knew better that they don't do that. I pretended that I didn't know anything.
Then we would play chess at night in the motel room, and again I told Sayoko that this is what all happens on all American honeymoons.
And the playing chess, I knew nothing about chess, so that's not honeymoon do too either. So, but it was okay. And then I spent that summer at our cottage Lakeside, and that was good. We enjoyed the camp meeting, and we had even job doing the dishes in the kitchen.
And we kind of finished our honeymoon by washing dishes in the kitchen for camp meeting. And Sayoko says we did such a good job there that we were asked to wash dishes at Washington camp meeting the next week. And I think that pretty well put an end to what we would call the honeymoon. But back to Lakeside to live until we were really frozen out. It was not too long after our marriage that we knew we were going to have a child. And that we were looking forward to. As we approached, got a little bit closer to the birth, Sayoko mentioned that she would like to go home to Japan to have the baby.
I went back to Japan to have baby when I was 7 months pregnancy. And while I was there, doctor told me I had some problem, the late pregnancy problem, toxemia, protein in the urine, and so I was in and out hospital.
The baby was born, Sarah was born May 7th.
Just about time baby was, nurse thought she was coming, and I was getting ready, and in that delivery room I was very alone and uneasy, so I asked my sister to be with me. And then she was there, and the nurse said, I think a baby is almost there, so get ready. And then nurse took off, and that time my sister looked at me and noticed that I was having convulsion. And she said my face was twisted so badly, and she was so frightened, and she ran to the nurse station and asked for help. And actually that saved my life and the baby's life too. When baby came, baby's face was very white, like a white sheet. And she was not breathing, and they had to resuscitate her. And then she was okay after a few minutes.
I think May 7th, 1965 was Mother's Day. And we had a fairly severe snowstorm in Waterville, Maine that Sunday. And I was rather chicken and didn't want to drive across the city to the Advent Christian Church. So I just drove half a mile up the street to the Fairfield Church of the Nazarene. And I remember as I came in the door of the house after the service, the telephone was ringing. I answered the phone, and it was Floyd Powers to tell me that I was the father of a little girl. They came home the 1st of July. So the first time I saw my daughter, she was almost 2 months old. Saw her at Logan Airport, and
Gave Sarah to her father at the airport. Then I felt, well, this is it. My duty is over. I could die here. I have no problem. I thought I could die because Duane has a daughter.
I was really worried about how she would take to her father, but she gave me a great big smile, and things were okay. In the death of our daughter, that was very hard to take, but God is faithful even at times like that, and we've moved on beyond that. And
I lost my daughters, but I have many daughters in Christ through my Japanese Christian Fellowship.
Blessed with wonderful friends. We saw a lot of that when we decided that it's time to stop mowing lawns and shoveling snow, and we've been here for 40 years, and it's time to move into something that we can handle, and to see the friends that stepped forward and helped us to make that move is a wonderful experience for us. Now we've been here in this apartment for just over a year. Doesn't seem possible.
Many people say happy marriage is 50-50, give and take, but I don't believe that. I believe giving 100% is the key to the happy marriage. That's the love that God taught us. He didn't get anything from us, but all He did was gave us His everything.
He's always been faithful to us, to me, even if I ever felt that I wasn't particularly, tremendously faithful to Him, although I think He was always at the center of our lives.
It's beautiful. Marriage get better as you get older. Spend years together. It's more beautiful than first we married. It is wonderful, to be able to stay together for 50 years, half a century with one person. It's just like air. He have to be there, and I need him, and he need me, and just wonderful.